Hi, this is Chris Wilson of Wilson Motor Company. It's the final days of our 80th anniversary sales event. We have reduced prices on over 300 Ford, Lincoln, Nissan, and pre-owned vehicles, including over 50 F-150s in stock and coming. We have rebates as high as $3,000 and interest rates as low as 0% for 60 months. Check out our inventory online before July 31st at wilsonmotor.com.
Wilson Motor Company, we make hard life easy.
The Aggies are returning home. Beginning this season, USU football and basketball will be back on KVNU.
Touchdown, Utah State!
Listen to every game, static-free at 102 FM, 610 AM, and online at kvnutalk.com or the KVNU mobile app.
It's recovered by Utah State, and the Aggies get the touchdown.
The season begins September 2nd when Utah State travels to Iowa to face the Hawkeyes. Join us in welcoming the Aggies back to KVNU, the home again for the Aggies.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Saturday morning in the summertime. And boy, is it going to feel like summer this weekend. It's time now for the Garden Guide with our host, Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning. It is going to be warm this weekend.
Yeah.
It is.
Just to say it slightly, it's going to be a little warm. Yeah.
It is Pioneer Day weekend, though. So it's almost always 100 degrees, it seems like.
Yeah, this time of July.
It just almost every year it's just hot. So it's kind of normal.
And then it seems like by mid-August, we're I don't know. We can still have really hot weather in mid-August, but at least the nights, it seems in mid-August on, the nights start cooling off.
It almost feels like it's cooling off already because it's like last night, it was pretty warm yesterday. Last night, open up the windows. It's like, this just feels... It just feels really good.
Yeah.
So
you get the canyon breeze.
We get the canyon breeze. Yeah,
nice.
We get the canyon breeze. So that's really not bad at all. But we are starting to see that monsoonal moisture that we get the end of July, 1st to August, and so we're feeling that little bit of humidity. So it just feels a little hotter, but that also creates a lot of diseases as well too. So that's definitely a topic we can talk about on the show today because I've had quite a few gardeners in this week that have had mildew showing up on their lawn and in other areas already, and that means that we're going to start seeing it showing up on like maple trees and nine barks very, very consistently. We'll see that, but then squashes, melons, and cucumbers. This is kind of a time to kind of watch for that on squashes, melon, cucumbers. So we can kind of talk about correcting that and keeping on top of that, so you don't have your plants kick the bucket before the end of August. Because we really want the gardens to grow all the way into September and even into October if possible, because we had such a late start.
Yeah.
And we had a really late start. So I'm looking at my potatoes, and usually by 4th of July they're starting to bloom, and right now they're starting to bloom. I mean, so my potatoes are a little bit behind. My onions are definitely a lot behind.
Well, because May and June were we didn't have any freezes at night, but it was just cool during the day.
It was just cool, and it was wet, and it just kind of slowed things down. However, I picked my first cucumbers this week, and they were amazing. They were just the best. And beans, I'll probably have beans tomorrow or Monday. So the beans are like really, really close as well too. We picked our first ripe tomatoes this week. So things are starting to go. I wish my cantaloupes were a little bit farther along. They're not really showing too much, but they're a little bit. So they'll be ready when the time comes. But I like to have those cantaloupes really first one by the first week of August if possible. It's going to be more like 20th of August, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
They're just a little slow getting going. Yeah, a little bit slow. But lots of great things happening at Anderson Seed and Garden for this 24th of July weekend. We just got a amazing shipment of fruit trees in. So if you've been kind of looking for fruit trees and you haven't been able to find peaches and apricots and nectarines and certain kind of plums, I've actually got some apricot plum combinations. So got some of those back in stock as well. So fruit trees came in, and they look absolutely amazing. So we got 400 fruit trees in. So if you come into Anderson's, you'll see a forest of trees in the back. In the back, as you come in the back gate, there's a forest of trees out there. And some of these peaches we got in, they have like fruit, like almost mature fruit on them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we've got a grower up in Oregon. They got the trees in early February. They potted them up for us. They've been babying them for the last 6 months, and we just were able to get those in, and they look absolutely amazing. So we've got some 7-gallon fruit trees, all kinds of varieties, and they look absolutely gorgeous. Perfect time to plant them. And we also decided that since we got these trees in, it's a really good time to kind of start our cash sale. It's not really the official cash sale, but right now we're going to do all of our nursery stock. So all of our trees, all of our evergreens, shade trees, fruit trees, flowering trees, shrubs, remaining vines, they're all 15% off. And if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10. And so you can get them for 25% off if you pay with cash. Now cash is like the old-fashioned cash. It's not like it's not a debit card. It's not a check.
It's not Venmo.
It's not Venmo. Yeah. This is like cash. So if you bring in cash, you can get extra 10%, and that's on all of our fruit trees, our shade trees, our flowering trees, and evergreens, and all of our shrubs, flowering shrubs and green shrubs. They're all going to be on sale. So 15% off if you want to pay, traditional methods. If you want to pay with cash, you get an extra 10. You can get that 25% off. So really great time to come in. You really there's probably 100 peach trees out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so we've been out of peaches since the first part of May, and we've been out of nectarine since the first part of May, and we've been out of apricots since the first part of May, and they just came in.
What was I reading? Speaking of peaches, I read that the state of Georgia, Georgia, the peach state.
Georgia's the peach state, yeah.
They don't have peaches.
No peaches this year.
Because of the weather and everything.
Some weather issues. So I did not have any blossoms on my peaches or nectarines or apricots this spring, just because of the way we had extended winter weather.
Yeah.
No blossoms on those. But my apples and my pears are absolutely loaded, just completely covered. And now's the time to do your next application if you haven't done your second application of insecticide right now. This is the time to get that application on, and we'll be doing another one in August coming up here. So good time to do that as well, too. But those fruit trees are gorgeous. You've got to just stop in and take a look at it. Honestly, we got 400 trees in this week, so I need to clear those out. So we're going to put those on sale. We were hoping to get those in June, but just the way the weather went this spring, I mean, they were slow and cold and wet up in Oregon, so they were just slow to mature on those as well, too. But they are here. Got a lot of great varieties to choose from, and trees are on sale, 15% off, 10% extra if you pay with cash. So not too bad.
Good deal.
Yeah, not bad at all. So, but the high... I guess the high volume question that everyone is asking right now. I mean, 8 out of 10 people that are coming in, they've got grasshoppers.
Yeah, that's what my wife wanted me to ask. We have them.
The grasshoppers. So phone lines are open. If you'd like to join our conversation, Bill and I are just going to be visiting about all kinds of things going on in the gardens right now. But if you'd like to join our conversation, phone lines are open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. And we'd love to have you join us here on the Garden Guide. But 3 weeks ago or so, I guess it was the very last week of June, I sprayed for grasshoppers because they were getting out of control. And so there's some really great options to spray, even if they have started to get larger in size. So these will still knock the grasshoppers down. They don't have to be babies. They can be, adolescents or even adults, and we can still get them under control. So your options are permethrin. So indoor, outdoor from High Yield would be excellent. Safe to use on fruits and vegetables as well. We also have Bug Blaster from High Yield, and the Bug Blaster is a little longer lasting, a little bit more potent, and so that one's not for use in vegetables, but a really great way to knock down grasshoppers like crazy. So I like the Bug Blaster, and it has a much longer residual. You can use it on turf, so lawns. You can use it on shrubs and flowers and trees, and on buildings as well too. You just can't use it on edibles because it has too long of a residual, but very, very effective. The Bug Blaster from High Yield, and then the new 7, the new version of 7 is very, very effective as well too, and that's safe to use on all kinds of edibles. And then we've got a new version of a similar insecticide. It's called Sayonara, and the Sayonara is also labeled for fruits and vegetables. Very, very effective. So you really have 4 options for getting the grasshoppers under control. They come in concentrate. They come ready to use. They come ready to spray too with the hose end sprayer, so you can just like hook it on the hose and just spray. So basically 4 weeks ago I sprayed, knocked down grasshoppers. I mean, it was like parting the Red Sea going out there. I'd walk through the garden and this is like, just this swarm of grasshoppers would just kind of spread to both sides. And so I sprayed, and really, literally in 10 minutes, there's dead carcasses all over the place. It does not take very long, so it really knocks them down very quickly. And I like to spray in the evening when it's not so hot, but then my bees have gone home as well, too. So I have 2 colonies of bees, and so I'll wait till the bees kind of have gone home, 8:30, 8:30, 8:40 at night. The sun's going down, but it's still light out.
Yeah, we want to protect our bees.
Yeah, that's a really great time to spray because a lot of your pollinators have kind of gone home for the night. And so then I sprayed. And then I put a repellent out afterwards. So I use, it's called Mosquito Go. It's really great for mosquitoes. And, of course, all the same products are very effective on mosquitoes and box elder bugs and spiders and ants and earwigs, but they're really great for grasshoppers. And so I put my repellent out, and it's called Mosquito Go. It has cedar oil in it, and the cedar oil is a natural repellent to a lot of these flying insects. And what it does is it interferes with their respiratory system. So the cedar oil kind of shuts down the pores that they breathe through, and they can't breathe. They can't breathe as well, and so they'll just leave and they'll go somewhere else. And so I put my repellent down, and really I haven't had to do anything for almost 4 weeks. They just grasshoppers went away. And so this week they really started coming back again. And by Thursday they were all over the place. It was just like I hadn't sprayed a month ago. And that's kind of normal because the population of grasshoppers are so high. You can't just spray once and just expect them to be gone. They're going to just eventually come back. So that's why the repellent really helps a bunch. So it was middle of the day, though, when I noticed that the grasshoppers had gotten really bad again, and I didn't want to spray to bother my bees. And so I just put the repellent out first. And so I applied the repellent in the middle of the day, and it's a granule, so you can just broadcast it up and down the rows. And as I was walking up and down the rows broadcasting, the grasshoppers were fleeing for their lives. They're just running, and it's just like not running, but hopping like crazy. And so I put that application out, and then I had to go do a couple other things. I was moving some water in the orchard and doing a couple other things. And so I went back to the garden about a half an hour later to turn some water on to start watering a few rows, and grasshoppers were almost completely gone.
Wow.
So they weren't completely gone, but I'll say they went from 100% of high volume down to about 10%.
A few stragglers.
Yeah, in a half an hour with the repellent. It really did a great job.
Wow.
And then that evening, I went and sprayed the insecticide as well, too. So I should get another 3 weeks of pretty good control out of that. So between the repellent, which is natural, so if you want to stick with a natural product, very, very effective, natural, you can use it in around flowers and on the lawn, and like I said, it repels mosquitoes, but it repels moths and flies and grasshoppers, but it won't bother your beneficial insects. So it won't bother ladybugs or praying mantis or bees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's good with mosquitoes because my wife is badly affected by
mosquitoes are
Mosquitoes
are crazy right now
welts
as
whenever.
well too. So you've got some organic options if you want to go with the natural option. So you've got the Mosquito Go or Mosquito Beater, which is in a liquid form. That's one I don't use in my garden though, because the liquid, if you get it on your vegetables, it's got all those essential oils in it. So not only does it have the cedar oil, but it has like geranium oil and it has citronella oil in it, which are great for repelling insects, but it'll flavor your vegetables since it's in the liquid form. Where the granule form, I can broadcast it up and down the rows and it just falls off the plants and it just lands on the ground, and then it releases the odor of the cedar. But the liquid, I don't use that in the vegetable garden.
So now for the for the grasshopper specifically, you mentioned what,
Sayonara, and then you've got 7, which is very effective as well too. But then Bug Blaster from High Yield, and also the Indoor Outdoor, which is a very nice low odor formula of permethrin, which is also great at repelling insects, mosquitoes. Yeah, it repels mosquitoes as well too. And all those are kind of general purpose, broad spectrum insecticides. So not only will they work on mosquitoes and grasshoppers, but they'll work on all kinds of other stuff as well too. So spiders, ants, earwigs, grasshoppers, all those fun guys.
Very good.
All right. So hopefully got your wife's question answered.
Yes.
And we do have phone lines open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU. You're welcome to call and join our conversation. We're going to talk diseases. We're going to talk fruit trees. Definitely going to talk iron. A lot of iron chlorosis going on, so iron deficiency is rampant right now. But we do have a caller on the line.
Yes, first up is Charles.
All right. Good morning, Charles. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning. I have a question on harvesting. I have a huge hedge of peppermint, and I don't know what I should look for. Should I have harvest leaves in the spring, or do I harvest them now and then I'm probably going to dry them?
Yes.
And make tea out of them.
That sounds great.
But when do I do that? And I just wondered if you knew what to do.
Whenever you have a plethora of leaves, and the peppermint is quite aggressive, it grows very quickly and it spreads very aggressively. Anytime you've got a lot of excess leaves, you can just harvest those. So it doesn't have to be first thing in the spring. It can be midsummer. It can be fall. It can be all through the summer, just a little bit at a time. And that's kind of the way we do our basil plants as well too. So as the basil plants really start growing, we'll just start harvesting leaves and use them throughout the summertime, and just kind of keep going. And so peppermint will be the same. You can pick those anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
How's your garden growing though, Charles? Is it doing well? Nope. Oh, lost him. All right. I was trying to ask a follow-up question, but that's all right.
Maybe he'll call back.
That's okay. Charles, thanks for calling in, and we appreciate you being on the Garden Guide this morning. So we've got another caller, too.
Kathy is up next.
Good morning, Kathy. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning, and thank you. I have rose bushes, and the leaves are getting eaten up, and I have some really old 7 powder, and I was wondering if that might still be effective, or should I get something else?
The 7 powder should keep its efficacy for quite a long time, for many, many years. So unless it has gotten wet, it should work exceptionally well. And most of those dusts, they're very long lasting, so that's not going to be a problem. I just don't like using dust on the roses that much because then it makes my roses look dusty. But
I know, I hate that.
Yeah, it's totally up to you. It's nice to use the products that you've got, so you don't have like 10 things sitting on the shelf and you go, oh, darn it, I forgot that's there. So use what you've got. But the dusts are not my personal favorite for the roses. There's really some great sprays that you can use that will have a longer residual. They leave no visible film on the roses, and most of them will control insects as well as diseases also. What kind of damage is happening on the roses? We've got to make sure we're going after the right insect. So
it just looks like the leaves are being chomped here and there.
Yeah.
Like a lot of chomps.
Is it along the edges? So are they taking like chunks out of the edges of the leaves?
It's the edges.
Okay, so there is a specific insect that loves roses, and it takes chunks out of the edges, and it looks like somebody took a pinking shear, and went around the edges. All right, and probably not everybody knows what a pinking shear is, but it's used for sewing, and it kind of puts this jagged edge on the fabric. That's what their damage looks like, and it's an insect that is called a root weevil. And the root weevils are little black beetles. They're probably 3/4 of an inch long, and they hide in the ground during the day, and then they come up at night and they clip the edges off the roses. And which
is why I can't see them ever.
Exactly.
Because I've looked.
Yeah. And you just go, God, where are all the bugs? It's like with grasshoppers, you can see those, but the root weevils, they're hiding during the day, and they come up at night. And they like lilacs, and they like peonies, and they like roses specifically. There are other plants as well too, but those are kind of the main culprits that they go after, or the main targets that they go after. You need to do your insecticide on the ground around the roses in the evening, right before the sun goes down.
Okay.
So if you do your 7 dust, which should depends on if it's the newer version of 7 or if it's the older version of 7, because the old version of 7 probably won't work on the root weevils. Try it and see what happens. But the new version of 7, which is a different insecticide, it's called Zeta cypermethrin, very, very effective on the root weevils. You'd want to put it on the ground around the plants so that as they come up out of the ground in the evening or nighttime, they'll get it on them and it'll kill them. The old version of 7 is carbaryl. So if you look on the label and it says carbaryl, you'll probably want to come see me and get something different.
Okay. I also have out here in my storage some Fertilone systemic insect spray.
Yes. That would actually work quite well. I would spray the roses with it, but then saturate the soil around the plants as well too.
Okay.
It's really critical we get the soil around the plants because that's where they're going to really come in contact with it before they get on the roses. And the thing about root weevils is the adults kind of do mostly cosmetic damage, just clipping the edges off the leaves. I mean, the plants, it doesn't really affect the plants that much, but their larvae are down in the ground and they start nibbling on the root system of the roses, and that can cause problems. Yeah, so if you control the adults, then you don't have the babies hatching out anymore. So we want to get those under control.
Okay, now it's very hot today and tomorrow.
Yes.
Would it be all right to spray it tonight, or should I just wait till it goes down?
Definitely do it in the evening, so as late as possible. So I would say 8:30, 8:45, when it's still light outside, but the sun's kind of going down. That's like prime time to put that out. Then it will still be wet. If you do the liquid, it'll still be wet when they come up out of the ground to have a snack tonight, and then it will take care of them.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you are so welcome. I'm glad I asked you what the damage looks like because that's a more difficult insect to control, and we may not have been effective if we didn't recognize what kind that was. So.
Okay.
All right.
I shall go off and do it tonight then.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Kathy. You have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Phone lines are open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. So, Bill, did you know that we're going to do a pumpkin festival on Center Street in September? Have you heard us talking about that?
I have not heard that.
So we're planning for Center Street a pumpkin festival. And it's not just a pumpkin festival. It's going to be a giant pumpkin weigh-off as well, too. So,
wow.
So the Utah Giant Pumpkin Growers Club Association, they do a weigh-off every year. And this is a nationally sanctioned weigh-off. So everybody's
so they're competing with
like
other
official.
states, too.
Yeah, this is like official. And
this is serious stuff.
Yeah, so they're going to come and do it on Center Street. And so it's going to be the 23rd of September. And we're going to close off Center Street. And we're going to have decor all over the place. So it's going to look very fall and very, very festive. And
the weather's still
it's great.
Nice
Yeah, it's
time,
great.
Yeah.
But that weekend, we've got the gardeners markets going.
Yeah.
The vintage market will be going that weekend as well, too. and then
over at the fairgrounds.
over at the fairgrounds. And Logan City is going to officially do the ribbon cutting for the new plaza on Center Block.
Wow.
And I think they'll have some live entertainment going on there as well, too. And then we'll have the Pumpkin Festival going on. But at the Pumpkin Festival, we're going to have local artists doing art on the street. So it'll be like street art, like mini street artists. So you can come and see what they're doing. But we'll also have professional photographers doing photos. And the Utah Theater is going to have free movies going at the theater for the day, and we'll probably have a bunch of vendors and food trucks there as well too. And then we'll have all the giant pumpkins lined up so you can come and check out all the giant pumpkins. And usually they have about 25 to 30 pumpkins that are in the 500 to 1,500, 2,000 pound range.
Wow.
And if you haven't seen an 1,800 pound pumpkin, you got to check it. I mean, it's the coolest thing ever. So one of our growers was in yesterday, and he said it's not unusual for them to gain 40 to 60 pounds a day.
Oh my goodness!
Those pumpkins, yeah. When they're,
I mean,
when
you could almost put out your lawn chair and watch them grow.
40 to 60 pounds a day, and so they are huge. Most of them you can't even barely put them on a pallet. They're so big, and so we are super excited about it. We're gonna have a lot of great activities. We'll have activities for the kids as well too. So there'll be a bunch of different activities going for the kids. So you can come, you can do like the giant pumpkin walk and check out all the pumpkins. You can go to a movie at the Utah. You can do a little shopping there on Center Street. You can get food to eat on Center Street. There's a lot of great restaurants. There's a lot of great businesses that will be there and open. And there'll be art. There'll be music. There'll be all kinds of great things going on.
And the ribbon cutting around the corner.
And the ribbon cutting is going to be at 11 o'clock, and the pumpkin weigh-off is going to start about the same time. But they'll start with, like, the smaller pumpkins in the kids' categories. But they don't do just pumpkins also. They do, like, the biggest squash. They do the biggest traditional pumpkin. They do biggest zucchini. They do biggest tomato. So there'll be a whole bunch of different categories to
So Saturday, September 23rd.
September 23rd is going to be the
big day.
Center Street Giant Pumpkin Festival.
All right.
That's what we're going to call it. And then the winner, whoever wins, and last year I think the biggest pumpkin in Utah was like 1,600 pounds, but the year before it was over 2,000.
Is there a particular area of Utah that has pumpkins get
I don't
bigger?
think so. No, I think it's
pretty
one of the
even.
growers was the grower that grew the 2,000 pound pumpkin, which was like a new Utah record. I think they're over in Tremont.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're over in
Wow.
Tremont. So, yeah. So
There you
pretty
go.
exciting, pretty exciting. So cash sale starting at Anderson Seed and Garden this weekend. So gorgeous, gorgeous fruit trees just came in. So if you're looking for fruit trees, I've got like the most amazing selection of fruit trees right now in stock, and they're on sale. So all of our nursery stock remaining is 15% off, 15. And then if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% on top of that. So you get 25% off. So you get 25% off if you pay with cash, like the old-fashioned, real green version of cash. No debit. If you do debit card, you do a credit card, you're going to get 15%.
Yeah.
If you pay with a check, you're going to get 15% off. So you're still going to get a great discount. But if you pay with cash, you get the extra 10. And so take advantage of that. That'll be going on this weekend and all of next week as well at Anderson Seed and Garden. Phone lines are open if you want to join us. We're going to take a short break. 753-5868, 753-KVNU. And we'll be back in just a few minutes after these messages.
I'm Bill Walter, KVNU News. In Idaho, 5 members of the white nationalist hate group Patriot Front have been convicted of misdemeanor charges of conspiracy to riot at a pride event in Idaho. The Coeur d'Alene Press reports that a Kootenai County jury found Forrest Rankin, Devin Center, Derek Smith, James Julius Johnson, and Robert Whitted guilty on Thursday after about an hour of deliberation. The men were accused of planning to riot at the Coeur d'Alene LGBTQ plus Pride event in 2022. A total of 31 Patriot Front members were arrested and faced charges in connection with the event. Utah fire management officers are implementing Stage 1 fire restrictions as of Friday morning at 12:01 a.m. due to increasing fire danger on all unincorporated private and state lands in Cache, Box Elder, and Weber counties. Other land management agencies are not implementing restrictions at this time. According to Dusty Richards, the Bear River Area Fire Management Officer, the dry conditions at lower elevations in northern Utah have led to a rise in vehicle fire starts as fire activity intensifies. Primarily, this is due to the healthy growth of cheatgrass, which has benefited from the additional moisture received this year. As the lighter vegetation dries out in the summer heat, it increases the risk of fire and makes it easier to ignite. On top of this, we have an excessive heat warning all weekend long for very hot temperatures into the triple digits. 101 on Saturday, 103 on Sunday, still hot on Monday, Pioneer Day. Upper 90s for the high. Low temperatures mostly in the lower 60s. For the latest news, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
From ABC Sports, I'm Mark Remillard. Team USA women's soccer team kicking off their World Cup bid last night in New Zealand, facing Vietnam. Their offense clicking early, and Sophia Smith led the charge.
A piece, not all. Shot taken, blocked, and it rolls in. She has two.
The call on Fox Sports, Team USA wins 3-0 in their World Cup opener. Meanwhile, back in the States, Lionel Messi made his MLS debut for Inter Miami in a match against Mexican club Cruz Azul. Game tied at 1 in the 94th minute, and Messi won a free kick just outside the box.
Here it is. Messi!
The goal, as heard on Apple TV, Inter Miami wins it 2-1. This is ABC Sports.
With inflation at record highs, why buy new if you can repair your current machine? Daryl's Appliances factory-trained technicians spend hundreds of hours in training each year to ensure your appliance is repaired right the first time. You can have peace of mind. They offer no-risk service, meaning if you want to purchase new, instead of repair, you can apply up to $95 of your service call towards an appliance purchase. See store for details. Daryl's West on Airport Road, open until 6 p.m. on weekdays, 5 on Saturday.
Wondering how to celebrate Pioneer Day this year? North Logan City's Pioneer Day celebrations are bigger and better than ever. Monday, July 24th, there are enough activities and entertainment for the family all day long. Start in the morning with a fun run and a fishing contest. Best parade in Utah beginning at 10 a.m. Then swing back to Elk Ridge Park at 5:30 for a charity barbecue, followed by games, outdoor movie, and finally fireworks. Presented by Thompson Family Orthodontics. North Logan City Pioneer Day celebration. A big day of laughter and entertainment. Visit northloganrec.org for more details.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends, look closer. Right in your community, there are youth who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So, look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. Covenant House is the national leader providing safe housing for youth, 50 years strong. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. Every youth who walks into Covenant House gets clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So, look closer at Covenant House and help us fight youth homelessness. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
From gardening to landscaping, it's the Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
And we're back. Second half hour of the Garden Guide. And once again, here's Mark Anderson.
Yeah. And we've been answering all kinds of questions this morning. So we've had grasshoppers and peppermint, and we talked about bugs on roses. I put Cazeron on my roses this week. So roses, a lot of weeds coming up in there, and I really hadn't been able to do a lot with the roses in June, and so I put my Cazeron down. And great thing about Cazeron is it kills everything except for the roses. And so I'll just apply that into the rose beds, and roses will keep continuing to bloom and look great. And all the weeds and grasses and morning glory and puncture vine and all those evil weeds that were in there, they will be dead.
Taken care of.
That's the best. That's the best kind of work. Yeah, it took me all of 3 minutes to broadcast that in there, and it lasts the rest of the season, so I don't have to worry about it. It's like the greatest product ever. So you can use it on raspberries. You can use it on roses, shrubs, trees, anything that's like woody. We sell tons of it for the raspberries, but for roses, it just doesn't hurt. Yeah, it just saves so much work. So,
Very good.
Yeah, but we're back here on the Garden Guide. We've been talking about the cash sale starting at Anderson Seed and Garden, and we just got an amazing shipment of fruit trees in. So if you've been looking for some specific varieties of peaches or nectarines or apricots or pluots, I've got those in stock. I think we've got some plueri too, so that's a cherry plum cross. Those are actually really pretty tasty. So we've got those in stock, and the trees look amazing. They're in 7-gallon containers. Most of them are 6 feet tall or taller and have lots of growth on them, and even a lot of fruit. So a lot of them have like peaches and nectarines already on the trees, which is amazing. And these just came in from Oregon. So we got 400 fruit trees, apples and pears included. We got 400 fruit trees. So if you want to plant some fruit trees in your yard, now's the time to get them because they are on sale at Anderson's. They are 15% off, and we're starting our cash sale, so that gives you an added 10% off if you pay with cash. So I'll give you up to 25% off on fruit trees, shade trees, flowering trees, evergreens, shrubs. I think we've even got some vines left as well, too. So the cash clearance sale starting at Anderson Seed and Garden. Phone lines are open if you'd like to join us on the show, 753-5868, 753-KVNU. And we do have a caller that waited.
We have Chad.
All right, very good. Chad, welcome to the Garden Guide.
Thanks. Hey, Mark, I've got a year-old imperial honey locust.
Okay.
That was a B&B. Planted about a year ago, come out this spring really great. For the last 3 weeks, man, the leaves are just like you lit them on fire. It's like they're dead dry. And it's probably got 50%, 60% of them drying up.
That are doing that. And you planted it?
I can't see.
You planted it this spring? Or was
actually last fall.
Last fall?
In about September, and it did really well.
Did
Went
great.
into the winter great, come out of the winter great.
Yeah. But then just in the last couple of weeks. So we have seen some gall attack the honey locust, and so it'll make the leaves kind of ball up a little bit. Have you seen the leaves ball up, or are they like full size and they just have turned brown?
Yeah, just full size and going brown.
Okay, so
it's totally brown.
Yeah,
it's
so
like you're starving it with.
Probably no gall. We have seen a lot of leaf hoppers in locusts. In fact, the city forester sent me some pictures the other day of a tree, and he thought it was something else, and I was like, check for leaf hoppers. And he messaged me back. He said, yep, you're right. There's like leaf hoppers. So leaf hoppers will make the leaves kind of go speckled first, and then they'll just turn completely brown after that. They suck the green out of the leaves.
Okay.
So that is a possibility. And then definitely check for water, like either too much or not enough. And we've seen quite a bit of this year because the soils were really saturated this spring, and so they stayed really wet all the way through June because of the way the weather was. I mean, we had a pretty wet June as well as a wet spring. And so I've got some trees that I planted last year, and really I'm only watering them about every week to 10 days, even as hot as it is right now. And so double check your water. So where you dug the hole last year to put the tree in, go out around the exterior edge of that hole and dig down 2 or 3 inches. And if you dig down 2 or 3 inches and it's still moist down 2 or 3 inches, it's going to be wet down deeper than that. So I'll usually wait until the soil has dried out down 3 inches before I water them again. And so sometimes that can be a week or 10 days or sometimes even longer, depending on how much mulch you've got. And if it's really wet and you've got some clay soil conditions, it could be trapping the water in there and kind of drowning the tree a little bit, which would cause it to look like it needed more water. And then our first inclination is to water more, and might be wet. So I would definitely check for that and check for the leaf hoppers. And if you can't decide if it's either of those, then cut a little sample off and bring it in. I'd be glad to take a look at it.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark.
You're so welcome. Good luck, Chad. Hope your tree comes out of it. Yeah, got my fingers crossed.
Me too.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Yep. Okay, phone lines are open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, and we've got about 15 minutes for you to join our conversation here on The Garden Guide. Bill, who's up next?
Seth, I think, is the name.
Good morning. Welcome to The Garden Guide.
Good morning, Mark. This is Seth. I've got a maple tree turning yellow.
Okay.
I put some iron on it earlier in the spring. I may have been a little late, I think, this year.
Possible.
Would I put iron on now, or would I wait, or what do you recommend?
So you could definitely do iron right now. It's going to be a little slower to work through the tree, but it's still going to pick it up and run that through the tree, and you'll see a change. What kind of iron did you use?
Iron chelate.
So the chelate. Was it the EDDHA? Was it a red powder?
It was awfully red.
Yes. When you mix it up, it looks like blood. Yeah, it looks like you've accidentally cut your finger and your blood into the bucket.
Well, I could do that. I could do that too.
Okay, so that's the best kind of iron. If you've got a tree that's just kind of slightly going deficient, or a tree that's like really deficient, like the leaves have really turned yellow, there's different amounts you can use, and there's a possibility you did it this spring but didn't quite get enough on there. So what we usually recommend with that EDDHA chelated iron, which is the best iron to use in our area, it is not trapped in the soil by the pH. So our soil pH is really high. We've got lots of limestone around here, so our soil pH is high. It will bind up iron and make it so it's unavailable to the plants. And so you can use a lot of different varieties of iron, and they just won't do anything. The EDDHA chelated iron will work no matter what your soil pH is. But you got to use the right amount.
Is that the iron you sell?
That's the one, yeah. So that's the red one.
Okay.
So that's the good stuff that works when nothing else works. But you got to use 1 to 2 ounces, so 2 to 4 tablespoons, 1 to 2 ounces per inch of trunk diameter. So if your trunk is 6 inches across and it's showing some iron chlorosis, but it's not like terrible, then 1 ounce per inch would be fine. So 6 ounces for that tree. And then you can either put it on the ground out around the drip line of the tree, spread it evenly around there and then water it, or you can mix it up in water and then just water the tree with it. And that will work great. If it's really deficient, though, you can go up to 2 ounces per inch of trunk diameter. So 1 to 2 ounces per inch of trunk diameter. So if it's that same 6-inch size tree diameter, you could do 6 to 12 ounces and really make a big difference on your tree. So sometimes my customers they're not putting quite enough on there to make a difference. So
I'm in the 2-ounce category, I believe.
Okay. All right. That's how deficient your tree is.
Yeah,
it's half
yellow.
It's pretty yellow. Yeah. Yesterday I had somebody bring a sample in, and the tree leaves were so pale that all you could see were the veins, and the rest of the leaf was like.
I have a few of those too.
Yeah, it was like almost white. The leaves were almost white. It's like, oh dang, we really gotta do that. I mean, it won't
like my veins.
Yeah, it won't kill the tree, but it sure makes it more susceptible to wind and sun, and so then you get like really crispy leaves because they're just getting scorched. And so I would say this week 1 to 2 ounces per inch of trunk diameter, and water that in really good, and you should see a difference in probably how tall is the tree, Seth?
25 feet.
It will move about a foot a day. And so it could take 3 weeks or 4 weeks to really get all the way out through the tree. But usually within 10 days to 2 weeks, you'll see a bunch of the leaves starting to really green up. So
I didn't realize you could put the powder on the grass and then water it.
And then water
it up.
Yeah, you can do it either way. It's whatever's easiest for you, and it will make your grass really, really green.
Okay, that's what I shall do then.
Yeah, it'll be really, really green. So first thing in the spring is the best time, Seth. So this year we couldn't do it in March, and we couldn't really do it in April either. But that's when I usually recommend that you put the iron on. So, yeah.
But I would not want to put some on now and then maybe in the fall put some more.
If you do it now, you'll be good for the rest of the year, and it may even linger into next year as well, too.
And then maybe, but probably I would put some on now, then in the spring.
In the spring.
Put some more.
Yep, you got it. You got it. And then if you got a really big tree, then the tree treats work great because then you don't have to put it on the ground. You just put it right into the tree, and that's a good option as well too.
That sounds better to me.
Okay, I like the tree treats. They're awesome.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Thanks very much.
You are so welcome. Have a great weekend. All right. Happy holidays,
Yes,
Seth.
sir.
All right.
Okay. You too.
Bye-bye. All right. Phone lines are open. We've got a couple callers waiting, but I still have a couple lines open. 753-5868, 753-KVNU. And Bill, who's up next?
Up next is Curtis.
All right. Good morning, Curtis. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Beautiful morning.
Oh, yes. Yeah, beautiful.
3 years ago, bought a apricot tree from you, Ambrosia.
Yes.
And boy, it done gangbusters. That really grew well. And then last winter, I'd kind of planted it out in the hayfield a little bit.
Right.
And I'd had put a fence around it for the
deer.
Yes. And the hay was high, and it was a haven for the gophers during the winter. So it got barked.
Darn it.
I mean, like 12 to 14 inches of it. And the tree was up good. It was, he was looking over 10 feet.
Oh, it was really growing then.
Yeah, it was doing great. And anyway, and it tried. It was funny. I had an arborist here, and he looked at it, and he said, "There's no way that should be alive." And it still kept trying.
Still going.
About,
yeah.
3 weeks ago, I just had the little skippy leaves on, but she gave up the ghost.
Yeah. I've got one too that did the same thing. Yeah, the deer barked it really good, and we've babied it along for about 5 years. And this year, last year it leafed out on all sides, and this year it only leafed out on half. I was like, oh dang, I'm gonna have to take that off. And then about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the whole thing just went gone. So I feel your pain.
Yeah, I know they're your rootstock.
Yes.
Sprouts are coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious. They're a maroonish color, so I got like 6 or 8 of them, and they're up about almost waist high.
Right.
The tallest one. Any idea what they are?
It's going to be in the plum family. So it's going to be a plum rootstock of some sort. I'd get rid of it. It's not going to be. It won't be edible. It will be.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
They just use they just use a hardy rootstock, and the fruit that comes off of it's terrible if it even fruits. So it's
okay.
It's time for a new tree.
I'm curious to see if it'd be worth letting it go. But if it's no, we'll have to pull it out and get another.
It's a no-goer. It's a no-goer. Yeah. So I got some new apricots in, and they look amazing. They're not 10 feet, but they're like 7 feet. They look really, really great. Montrose, Harcott, or Blenheim.
Okay.
They're really, really good. I think I've got some Chinese, and I think we got some Moorpark as well too. But the Montrose and the Harcott and the Blenheim are hardier. So they're almost a full 10 degrees. Yeah, almost a full 10 degrees hardier, and they bloom a little bit later, so they're less likely to get frozen.
Okay. Montrose, you say, is probably what you'd recommend?
Montrose, Harcott, and the Blenheim is a white apricot. It's a white apricot from Canada, and it's really, really tasty. We planted one and got some last year. It was really good. So those would be great options.
What about the stones being edible? Is there
the Chinese is edible for sure, and then I think. I can't remember. I'll have to double check. It's either the Harcott or the Montrose. The pits are edible also, but don't hold me to it. I can't remember which one.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I always loved that growing up. We'd put them out, dry them out, and then
yep.
that little treat later on in the
exactly. Yeah, that's the good old Chinese Mormon apricot. So.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
Enjoy your weekend.
You too. Sorry about your tree, Curtis.
Okay.
Yeah, dumb gophers, dumb deer at my house. So, happy holiday. We appreciate you calling. Okay, we got about 5 minutes left, and a couple lines open. 753-5868, 753 KVNU, and Bill, we got another caller.
We have Bob.
All right. Good morning, Bob. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning. I have a question for you, sir.
Yeah.
I have a rock garden that's got ground cover in it that we put in there, and now it is covered with morning glory, dandelions, and tree starts.
Gotcha.
Just coming up out of it. That's coming from some twirlies, I think, that come off the other trees, and those twirly things.
Yes.
Can you spray that with something but not kill the ground cover?
I've got something that will kill grass without killing the ground cover. So we could definitely take care of grasses in there, and it would not hurt your ground cover at all. But for the other stuff, unfortunately, whatever you spray in there could damage your ground cover. So morning glory is going to be tough to control. I have some options that are kind of less aggressive, and they won't spread as much, but it could. If you spray it on the ground cover, it's going to kill the ground cover. One thing we could do is put a pre-emergent in there and prevent new weeds from coming once we get the weeds out. So even if you wanted to go in and hand remove those or spot treat with a product like Decimate. The Decimate's a little bit different from Roundup. It's not the same chemical, but it works similarly. And so it will kill some of those hard-to-kill broadleaf weeds. Like I sprayed on Thursday, and I sprayed some puncture vine, and I sprayed some morning glory, and I sprayed some thistle, and I checked last night, and they were like dead already. It works really, really quickly, and it works on some of those hard-to-kill broadleaf weeds. And so you could use that, but it's going to kill your ground cover as well too. But
take care of that.
Yeah,
okay.
but once you get rid of those weeds, then we put a pre-emergent down, like either Treflan or Dimension or Surflan, and it will stop all the new ones from coming up. So then you don't have new weeds coming up in the middle of your ground cover. And you could do that once or maybe twice a year, first thing in the spring and then maybe partway through the summer. And if you do that twice a year, it will prevent 90% of your weeds from coming up. And so you just don't have them re-emerging afterwards. So
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds like just a lot of labor.
It sounds like a little bit of work, yeah. I was out spraying weeds myself on Thursday because they've gotten out of control in a couple spots in my yard, so I know the feeling.
Well, we'll do some digging and get some stuff out of there.
Yep. Too much rain in June, Bob. So everything germinated, so it's taken me like a couple of weeks to get the weeds under control in my garden because they just took off like crazy, but getting there. Yeah, we're getting there.
I appreciate your help.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling this morning. Have a great holiday.
You too.
All right, thank you. Okay, we got time.
I think that's it.
That's about it.
If somebody calls in real quick,
we could maybe get one more quick question in there. We talked iron. One thing we didn't talk about was water checks. So USU Extension still doing water checks. If you need to have your sprinklers analyzed, figure out if you're watering for the correct amount of time, if your sprinklers are working efficiently, they'll come out and they'll do it for free. And so USU Extension's got their program going on. They're doing free water checks, and I've got information at the store if you would like to stop in. I'd be glad to share that with you. You can sign up online and schedule an appointment, and they'll just come out and they'll do it for free. I've had so many people come in and say, that was the best thing I've ever done. Like, I learned so much from the techs that came out and did it from USU, and they didn't realize that their sprinklers weren't running for long enough or that they were running for twice as much as they really needed to. They helped them figure out exactly what schedule they needed to put their lawn on to keep it looking great, but use the least amount of water.
Do they come out and check when the sprinklers are on to make sure that you're not watering the
sidewalk? Yes, exactly. So they'll come out, they'll have you run through a test cycle so they can see where they're going. They'll help you adjust and figure out where the sprinklers are going. But most importantly, they'll help you determine how long you need to leave the sprinklers on and how many times per week you need to apply to keep your lawn at its peak, performance, but use the least amount of water to keep it there. So so that's really great. And
do you think people have maybe become lax this year because we had such a overwhelming wet winter?
That's a good question, because it was so wet in June. We didn't even turn our sprinklers on.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't have to water. We watered a couple times in May because it did dry out in May, but other than that, we didn't water until like the 1st of July, and then we finally turned our sprinklers on. So we have used minimal water this year compared to last year, where things were really dry and everybody was really trying to conserve. So I think we're starting to see a change of attitude where I've got more people coming in asking about, like, say, Hydrotain or Back to Green, so they can apply that to their lawns so they don't have to water as much to keep their lawn looking really good. And then we have seen a lot of people making that transition to more drought tolerant grasses, so they're using 50% less water to begin with, which is really great as well too. So there's some good options there. So
all right,
yeah. So I wouldn't,
because we're still, even with the wet winter, we're still the second driest state in the country.
Yes,
what they tell
yes,
us, so.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think a lot of homeowners are very conscientious this year, and they've been great for watering. So diseases, powdery mildew showing up, so we definitely want to get on top of the mildews, and I'm starting to see some diseases in the tomatoes. So fungicide 5 from Fertilome, complete disease control. Those are great options for controlling diseases naturally. So it's a bacteria, and it's safe for fruits and vegetables. So squashes, melons, cucumbers, we can put that on there for mildews. Great for tomatoes, great for potatoes. Good option for doing that as well too. So don't forget, we've got our cash sale starting at Anderson Seed and Garden. 15% off on all of our nursery stock, including fruit trees, but an extra 10% off if you pay with cash. So don't forget about that great sale. And we will be back next week with another edition of The Garden Guide.
Your station for the Aggies. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM, 610 AM. And on Alexa, Google, online, or the app. The home for the Aggies.